Hello, Stampers. It's Terry at Rustic Barn Cards. Today's quick tip is going to be an Emboss Resist, and I'm going to use the Life is Beautiful stamp set. So I'm going to start off using this tree. So I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus, and the reason I could just ink up my tree, but in case I don't get a good imprint, then I may need to do it again. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cardstock, Whisper White cardstock down. And it is okay that it is not going to have all the tree on this piece of cardstock. So that is fine. So I laid, the flat side is toward me. I have it where I want it to be. Actually, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit because I'm going to add some snow. So I think that will be just fine. So now I'm going to press and open it, and I'm going to bring Early Espresso ink pad, and I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. And I'm hanging with my left hand, I'm kind of holding the plate so it doesn't bounce. And then I'll go ahead and press. And I'll ink it up one more time. And then I'm going to do some embossing. And I have my embossing ready. And I'm going to be using the clear. And I don't have a lot of time because this ink dries fairly quickly. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm going to add the clear embossing powder on the tree. Whoop. We got quite a bit there, didn't we? But this little coffee filter will hold that. Okay. Now we're going to emboss. And hopefully you can see it start to change. Here we go. Now I think you can. Go right up the tree trunk. Sometimes I use a clothespin and to hold my cardstock. Okay, great. So we have our tree, and we embossed it in Early Espresso, and I'm going to add this little element here to the bottom of the tree, and I'm going to add the snowflakes. So I'm going to use Versamark, which is our watermark stamp pad and sticky. So I'm going to bring this little, like the way it's so I'm going to kind of, hopefully this could be lots of different things. It's going to be kind of like snow. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to ink that up. And I'm going to put that right down at the bottom of the card. And of course, you're not going to be able to see it yet, but you will. So then I will ink up using the Versamark, which is a little sticky. And I'm going to stamp some snowflakes. And it's okay if they overlap a little bit, because it is kind of hard to see. Let me put some falling on the trees. We don't have to be quite as much of a hurry because the Versamark does dry a little bit slower. So this time I'm going to use white embossing powder. Where last time I used the clear. And I could put my embossing powder in the container and use a spoon, which sometimes I do that, instead of using it out of the jar, because then sometimes you get way too much, but we'll just take it right off there. And it's always good to kind of flip the back to get all the excess embossing powder off. Well, you can kind of see those snowflakes already. And if you have a little brush, there's a little bit here that I want to make sure. There we go. And now we're going to emboss this. And this time I am going to use the clothespin. I'm going to start down here, our little snow hill, a little snow at the bottom, and then work my way up. So I embossed, and you can see the snowflakes more, and I'm going to put the excess embossing powder right back in the container. And then I'll just throw this coffee filter away and put the lid on this. Our white embossing powder. There we go. Okay, remove that and let's do the next step. So now I'm going to do the resist part. And I have 3 colors of ink. They're all blue. So I have Balmy Blue, Coastal Cabana, and Misty Moonlight. And I'm going to start with the lightest. So I'm going to start with Balmy Blue. And I have a sponge. I'm just going to start it over here. Ink that up. And then I am just going to spread this around the entire card. And this is building a layer. So I'm almost done, so I'm going to ink it up. And I like to touch it off the cardstock first so it doesn't make a big blob. And again, and you can just, so I put it all around the card with the Balmy Blue. Okay, now I'm going to get another, I'm going to put a little bit more right there. I'm going to get another sponge, and we'll do the Coastal Cabana. So I'm going to bring in the Coastal Cabana. These sponges are not Stampin' Up, but I am going to order some sponges on my next order because they're only $4, and I'm sure they would work probably better than, this is just a big sponge that I cut from like a craft store. So I'm going to use Coastal Cabana, and you won't see so much of the Balmy Blue, but it is all about layering. And this time I'm not going to go over like the tree. I mean, part of the tree I am. But I do want some of the Balmy Blue to show. And I do want to come down here on the edge. So it's all about the layering. You can just kind of turn your card as you work. I'm going to go around all of the edges and bring it in, but not in the middle of the tree. So I still will have some of the balmy blue showing. And then we have another layer of Misty Moonlight to do when we're finished with this. This is really a fun technique. Okay, I think that looks good. And now we're ready for our last layer. So we're going to bring in our darkest blue, the Misty Moonlight. And we'll start layering some of the Misty Moonlight on our card. And we're going to work mostly around the edge of the card. And it just kind of blends all the colors together. And of course, this is something each time you do, it's going to be a little bit different, but it's just so pretty. And there we go. Isn't that dark? Isn't that beautiful? It's ready to add to our layer and our card base. So I have Misty Moonlight for the card base. Cut it 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And I've already folded. And I'm going to bring in my first layer of Balmy Blue. And I'll have the dimensions down below. In the description. Just click on Show More. So I'm going to add my first layer to the front of the card. And we'll get it straight. The next layer I'm going to bring in is Early Espresso. So I'm going to add that. And now I'm going to add our background layer that we did the Emboss Resist to the front of the card. I'm just using liquid glue. I mean, you could pop it up with dimensionals if you wanted to. I could have added some snowflakes farther down from the tree, so you can just do it differently. You can be creative and design your card however you want. And then you can add a layer of Whisper White inside, so you can write. And we can add a sentiment on the front. I'm going to bring in the Timeless Label Punch. I like punches because they are quick and easy. So I have a scrap of Whisper White. So we're going to make our label. I'm going to bring in Early Espresso. And because my stamp is the photopolymer, I'm going to bring in my piercing mat. It gives it a little bit of cushion. And I like to put a sheet of typing paper, or I guess we don't need copy paper, I guess we call it now, over the top to kind of protect it. And Thinking of You, which comes from the same stamp set, Life is Beautiful. So I'm going to ink that up, and we'll place this right in the middle. There we go, Thinking of You. And at this time, we are thinking about a lot of people. So I'm going to turn that over and add some dimensionals. And if you like this stamp set, you'll want to purchase it before December 31st. It is in the mini catalog, Life is Beautiful, and it will not be returning. you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I think I'm going to put it over a little bit at the lower right-hand side so you can still see the tree trunk. So I'd love for you to subscribe, leave me a comment. Quick Tip Monday, how to heat emboss using, how to emboss resist using Life is Beautiful stamp set. Thank you for watching and have a great week.